Hello again. I'm gonna be reading some stuff today. And it's gonna be broken up into parts. I don't know how many parts. Um, so yeah. I'm just I'm not gonna tell you the name of it because I don't want. I'm just gonna read it. Okay. Um. Okay. First part is a quote. If we have the truth, it cannot be harmed by investigation. If we have not the truth, it ought to be harmed. President J. Reuben Clark. Forward to my beautiful young children that you may one day understand. This was written in April of 2013 and it was last updated on October of 2017. This is a letter, but it's thank you for responding to my grandfather's request to answer my concerns and questions and for offering your time with me. I appreciate it. I'm interested in your thoughts and answers as I have been unable to find official answers from the church for most of these issues. It is my hope that you're going to have better answers than many of those given by unofficial apologists such as Fair Mormon and the Neil A. Maxwell Institute, formerly FARMS. I'm just going to be straightforward in sharing my concerns. Obviously, I'm a disaffected member who has lost his testimony, so it's no secret which side I'm on at the moment. All this information is a result of over a year-long intensive research and an absolute rapid obsession with Joseph Smith and church history. With this said, I'd be pretty arrogant and ignorant to say that I have all the information and that you don't have answers. Like you, I put my pants on one leg at a time and I see through glass darkly. You may have new information and or a new perspective that I may not have heard or considered before. This is why I'm genuinely interested in what your answers and thoughts are to these issues. I've decided to put it in writing just about all the major concerns that I have. I went through my notes from the past year of research and compiled them together. It doesn't make sense for me to just lay out 5 concerns while also having 20 other concerns that legitimately challenge the truth claims of the LDS Church. A quick description of my background might help you understand where I'm coming from. I was a very active and full believing member my entire life up until around the summer of 2012. My grandpa already outlined my life events to you in this email, so I think you get the idea that I accepted and embraced Mormonism. In February of 2012, I was reading the news article when I came across the following news article. Mormonism besieged by Mormonism besieged by the modern age. In the article was information about a Q&A meeting at Utah State University that LDS Church historian and General Authority elder Marlon K. Jensen gave in late 2011. He was asked his thoughts regarding the effects of Google on membership and people who are, quote, leaving in droves over church history. Elder Marlon K. Jensen's response was maybe since Kirkland, we've never had a period of, I'll say it, apostasy, like we're having now, largely over these issues. This truly shocked me. I don't understand what is going on or why people would leave, quote, over history. I started doing research and reading books like the LDS historian scholar Richard Bushman's Joseph Smith, Rough Stone Rolling, and many others to try to be better to understand what was happening. The following issues are my main concerns. Okay. The Book of Mormon is the keystone of our testimony. Just as the ark crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church stand. So does all of the church stand or fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. This was said by President Ezra T. Benson in the Book of Mormon, Keystone of Our Religion book. Everything in the church, everything, rises or falls on the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon, and by implication, the prophet Joseph Smith account how it came forth. It sounds like a, quote, sudden death proposition to me. Either the Book of Mormon is what the prophet Joseph said it is, or this church and its founder are false, fraudulent, a deception from the first instant onward. And this was said by Elder Jeffrey R. Rowland, true or false, from the New Era of June 1995. Okay, number 1. What are 1769 King James Version edit errors doing in the Book of Mormon? A purported ancient text. Errors which are unique to the 1969 edition that Joseph Smith owned. 2. When King James translators were translating the KJV Bible between 1604 and 1611, they would occasionally put in their own words into the text to make English more readable. We know exactly what these words are because they're italicized in the King James Version's Bible. What are these 17th century italicized words doing in the Book of Mormon? Word for word. What does it say about the Book of Mormon being an ancient record? The 2 examples are given Isaiah 9:1 in the King James Version, and then in 2 Nephi 19, verse 1. The above example, 2 Nephi 19:1, dated in the Book of Mormon to be around 550 BC, quotes nearly verbatim from the 1611 AD translation of Isaiah 9, verse 1 in the King James Version, including the translator's italicized words. Additionally, the Book of Mormon describes the sea as the Red Sea. The problem with that is that A, Christ quoted Isaiah in Matthew chapter 4, verses 14 through 15, and did not mention the Red Sea. B, quote, Red Sea is not found in any source manuscripts, and C, the Red Sea is 250 miles away. Malachi chapter 3, verses 10 in the King James Version, and then 3 Nephi chapter 24, verses 10 in the Book of Mormon. In the above example, the King James translators added 7 italicized words to their English translation, which are not found in the source Hebrew manuscripts. Why does the Book of Mormon, which is supposedly to have been completed by Moroni over 1400 years prior, contain the exactly identical 7 italicized words of the 17th century translators? 3. The Book of Mormon includes mistranslated Bible passages that were later changed in Joseph Smith's translation of the Bible. These Book of Mormon verses should match the inspired Joseph Smith's translated version instead of the incorrect King James Version, which Joseph later fixed. A typical example of the differences between the BOM, Book of Mormon, the King James Version, and the Joseph Smith translation. I'm not reading all that, but the examples for this are given 3 Nephi chapter 13, 25, verses 25 to 27, Matthew chapter 16, verses 25 to 27 from the King James Version Bible, and then Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 through 27, Joseph Smith translation of the same passages in the LDS Bible. It's a lot. You can slow it down. I'm going to keep going. Christ's Sermon on the Mount in the Bible and the Book of Mormon are identical, but Joseph Smith later corrected the Bible, and in doing so, he also contradicted the same identical Sermon on the Mount passage in the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is the most correct book and was translated a mere decade before Joseph Smith's translation. The Book of Mormon was not corrupted over time and did not need correcting. How is this that the Book of Mormon has the incorrect Sermon on the Mount passage and does not match the correct Joseph Smith translated version in the first place? 4. DNA analysis has concluded that Native American Indians do not originate from the Middle East or from the Israelites, but rather from Asia. Why did the church change the following section of the introduction page in the 2006 edition of the Book of Mormon shortly after the DNA results were released? The example was given what it was and what it was changed to. The Lamanites, and they are the principal ancestors of the American Indians. And it was changed to, in 2006, to the Lamanites, and they are among the ancestors of the American ancestors. That was messed up. I mean, I'm having trouble reading it. And people know, well, maybe you don't, but the wording and everything is very old English, and so it's not going to be like really easy to read it. So thank you for your patience and everything. The words that were switched, the principal, and they were switched to among the ancestors of the American Indians. An update. The church conceded in its January 2014 Book of Mormon and DNA Studies essay that the majority of Native Americans carried largely Asian DNA. The church, through this essay, makes a major shift in narrative from its past dormant narrative and claims of origin of the Native American Indians. White people talking about stuff that they should not be talking. Okay. I'll try to keep that to a minimum. I'm real sorry about that. Okay, number 5. Anachronisms. My bad. Horses, cattle, oxen, sheep, swine, goats, elephants, wheels, chariots, wheat, silk, steel, and iron did not exist in pre-Columbian America during the Book of Mormon times. Why are things mentioned in the Book of Mormon as being made available in the Americas between 2200 BC and 421 AD? Unofficial apologists claim victories in some of these items, but closer inspection reveals significant problems. It has been documented that apologists have manipulated wording so that steel is not steel, sheep become never domesticated bighorn sheep, and horses become tapirs, etc. Archaeology, number 6. There is absolutely no archaeological evidence to directly support the Book of Mormon or the Nephites or the Lamanites, who were supposed to have numbered in the millions. This is one of the reasons why unofficial apologists have developed the limited geography model. It happened in Central or South America. It didn't. And claim that the hill Cumorah mentioned in the final battle of the Nephites is not in Palmyra, New York. Palmyra. Jackie, you better knock that off. I'm not in the mood right now. Jackie? but it's not in that place in New York, and this is the direct contradiction to what Joseph Smith and other prophets have taught. It also makes little sense in the light that the Church Visitor Center near the Hill Cumorah in New York and the annual church-sponsored Hill Cumorah pageants that was supposed to be an end of a sentence, not sounding like something I'm reading on. Oh my god. Okay. We read about two major war battles that took place at the Hill Cumorah, with deaths numbering in the tens of thousands. The last battle between Lamanites and Nephites around 400 AD claimed to be at least 230,000 deaths on the Nephite side alone. No bones, hair, chariots, swords, armor, or any other evidence of the battle whatsoever have been found at this site. Johnny Clark, director of BYU's archaeology organization, wrote in the Journal of the Book of Mormon Studies, in accordance with these general observations about New York and Pennsylvania, we have come to our principal object, the Hill Cumorah. Archaeology speaking, it is a clean hill. No artifacts, no walls, no trenches, no arrowheads. The area immediately surrounding the hill is similarly clean. Pre-Columbia people did not settle or build here. This is not a place of Mormon's last stand. We must look elsewhere for that hill. Okay. Compare this with the archaeological evidence of the other hillside battle scenes. Carrow, Hilford, in the Wales capital of Cardiff, was found to have abundant I'm so sorry I'm saying that word wrong. I'm so sorry. But you know what I mean. I took speech therapy as a kid, mostly for R's, but maybe I have other issues too. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Evidence of inhabitants and weapons of war dating far back as 3600 BC in the form of stone, arrowheads, tools, and pottery. Compare the absence evidence of the Book of Mormon civilizations to the archaeological remains of other past civilizations, and as such as the Roman occupation of Britain and other countries. There are abundant evidences of their presence during the first 400 years AD, such as villas, mosaic floors, public baths, armor, weapons, writing, art, poetry, and so on. Even the major road systems used today in some of these occupied countries were built by the Romans. Additionally, there is ample evidence of the Mayan and Aztec civilizations, as well as a civilization in current-day Texas that dates back to at least 15,000 years. Another recent discovery that has been made of a 14,000-year-old village in Canada. We were here long before you, and we'll be here long after. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Oh, I'm not really, but I know I have. I'll tone it down. I'm so sorry. Admittedly, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, but where are the Nephite and Lamanite buildings, roads, armor, swords, pottery, art, etc.? How can these great civilizations just vanish without a trace? Oh, they have a word for this. It's called translated. Look it up. Latter-day Saint Thomas Stuart Ferguson was the founder of BYU's archaeology division, and this archaeology foundation was financed by the LDS Church. They were tasked by BYU and the church in the 1950s and 1960s to find archaeological evidence to support the Book of Mormon. After 17 years of diligent effort, this is what Ferguson wrote in February 20th, 1976. This was a letter about trying to dig up evidence for the Book of Mormon. You can't set Book of Mormon geography down anywhere because it is fictional and will never meet the requirements of the dirt archaeology. I should say what is in the ground will never conform to what is in the book. And then, okay, I'll just, Number 7. Book of Mormon geography. Many Book of Mormon names and places are strikingly similar to many local names and places of the region where Joseph Smith lived. The following 2 maps show Book of Mormon geography compared to Joseph Smith's geography. So the first one is showing the Book of Mormon geography, the East-West Sea, Valley of Alma, Valley of the Lehi Nephis, Jerusalem, Jacob's, Odin. But it's actually, if you look at the map, he lived in the northeast United States and southeast of Canada. So the first is the proposed maps constructed from the Book of Mormon, but the actual map is exactly that he just changed the names essentially. Okay, so the seas he was actually talking about Lake Erie, in Lake Ontario, in Pennsylvania, in New York. He just changed the names and said it was from an older time, hoping people were stupid. They are. Continuing on, throughout the Book of Mormon, we read about such features as the narrow neck of the land, which was about a day and a half's journey, roughly 30 miles, separating 2 great seas. We also read about the hill Onida and hill Ramaha, all place names in the land of Joseph Smith youth, where he grew up. We read in the Book of Mormon of the city of Teancum, named for a warrior named Teancum, who helped General Moroni fight in the land of desolation. In Joseph's era, an Indian chief named Tecumseh fought and died near the narrow neck of the land in helping the British in the War of 1812. Jesus. Today the city Tecumseh is named after this chief. We see the Book of Mormon city Kushkumen located near an area named on the modern map as Kishkimetas. There are more than a dozen Book of Mormon names that are the same or are nearly the same as modern geographical locations. So I'm going to read the modern geographic place and then the Book of Mormon name. Modern name, Alma. He changed it to Alma, Valley of Alma. Antrim. He changed it to Antum. Antonic, Annie, Anti. Boaz. Helam to Helam. Jacobsburg to Jerusalem, Jordan. Kishkimitas to Kishkumen. Lei to Lee. Mantua, Manti. Onidad, Anna. Damn, these names are fucked up. But there's more on that. Okay, so basically, why are there so many names similar to the Book of Mormon names in the region where Joseph Smith lived and grew up? Is this all really just a coincidence? No. Hill Comora, off the eastern coast of Mozambique in Africa, is an island country called Comoros. Prior to its French occupation in 1841, the islands were known by its Arabic name, Comora. There is an 1818 map of Africa that refers to the islands as Comora. The largest city and capital of Comoros was called Moroni. Camorra and settlement Moroni were names in pirate and treasure hunting stories involving Captain William Kidd, a pirate and treasure hunter, which many 19th century New Englanders, especially treasure hunters, were familiar with. They were familiar with. In fact, the uniform spelling for Hill Comora in the 1830 edition of the Book of Mormon is spelled Camorah. Don't know why that was important. Pomeroy Tucker was born in Palmyra, New York in 1802, 3 years before Joseph Smith. He is considered to be a contemporary source. This is what he said about Joseph Smith. Joseph had learned to read comprehensively, reading works of fiction in records of criminality for such instance as would be classed for the, quote, dime novels of the present day. The stories of Stephen Burrows and Captain Kidd and the like presented the highest charms for his expanding mental perceptions. This is from Mormonism, Its Origin, Rise, and Progress. Some apologists say that Tucker's Mormonism, Its Origin, Rise, and Progress is anti-Mormon, and thus anything in the book cannot be trusted. If this is true, why then did the LDS scholar and church history compiler B.H. Roberts quote Tucker for background information on Joseph Smith? Also, Fair Mormon has an article in which they wrote Tucker's book 4 times as support for Joseph, and they even refer to Tucker as a, quote, eyewitness to Joseph and his family. Is Tucker's peripheral information only useful and accurate when it shows Joseph and the church in the positive and favorable light? A quote from Wayne Sentiel from Palmyra, New York, February 16th, 1825. We are sorry to observe, even in this enlightened age, so prevalent a disposition to credit the accounts of the marvelous, even the frightful stories of money being hid underneath the surface of the earth and enchanted by the devil or Captain Kidd, are received by many of our respectable fellow citizens as truths. Notice that this is considered, quote, prevalent and, quote, received by many of our respectable fellow citizens as truths, end quote, in the above contemporary newspaper quote from Palmyra, New York, and that it was not tainted by any desire to damage Joseph Smith. This article provides a snapshot of the worldview of 1812 New England. The Hill Comora and Moroni have absolutely nothing to do with Comora and Moroni from Captain Kidd's stories, stories that Joseph and his treasure hunting family, friends, and community were familiar with. The original 1830 Book of Mormon just happens to have the uniform Comora spelling. This is all just a coincidence. Number 8. There was a book published in 1823, Vermont, entitled View of the Hebrews. Below is a chart comparing the View of the Hebrews book to the Book of Mormon. Okay? Views of the Hebrews, published 1823, first edition, 1825, second edition, location, Vermont, Rutland County. Note, Oliver Cowdery, one of the Book of Mormon witnesses, lived in This county, when View of the Hebrews was published. Book of Mormon, 1830, first edition. Location, Vermont, Sharon, Windsor County. Note, Windsor County is adjacent to Rutland County. Okay. And then in these both, okay, it's coming up. This is gonna be the end of part 1 in a little bit, but these two, in it, what I'm reading from, it has 2 separate columns of this book that was published in 1823, 7 years before the Book of Mormon, and the Book of Mormon, and its similarities. I had some mac and cheese, and I'm just like, okay. They both talked about the destruction of Jerusalem, the scattering of Israel, the restoration of the 10 tribes. Hebrews leave the old world for the new world, religion a motivating factor, migrations a long journey, encounter seas and many waters. They both talked about the Americas and uninhabited land. They both talked about settlers' journey northward. They both talked about the encounter of the valley of a great river. A unity of race of Hebrews settle in the land and are the ancestral origins of American Indians. They both talked about Hebrew being the origin language of Indians. They both had Egyptian hieroglyphs. They both had the law. Okay, all of these are both. I'm not going to keep repeating that. Lost Indian records. A set of yellow leaves buried in Indian Hill. Elder B.H. Roberts noted the leaves may be gold. Joseph Smith claims that the gold plates were buried in Hill Cumorah. They both had breastplates, Urim and Thummim. Prophets, spiritually gifted men, transmit generational records. A man standing on a wall warning the people, saying, "Woe, woe to this city, to this people," while subsequently being attacked. That one's way too long to read. Okay, and there's like 30 more about how these just he copied it, plain and simple. Okay, gonna break. Like and subscribe. Part 2.